Namaste. Today on BestFitCareers, I have invited Devain Pal Bansal, who was our young professional mentee since last year. And we are so proud of what he has been able to achieve, and that's what we wanted to share with you what his journey was like, and what he has achieved, and how to enter the Web 3.0 space, because that's exactly what he's doing. Devain, a very good student, was doing the traditional things by getting into a good engineering college. In this case, Thapar. He pursued mechanical engineering over there because he got bored with computer science engineering. Then in the third year of engineering, he decided to pursue UPSC. He wanted to prepare for that, which he thoroughly enjoyed. He went from Patiala to Chandigarh, but then again, it was not something that he truly wanted to do for the rest of his life. He got introduced to cryptocurrency through a friend, and he started understanding the investment side of things, and that's when he realized it's so much more. He realized what Web 3.0 is. He understood what blockchain technology is and what all can it achieve. He started to go deeper into it, but the challenges were he couldn't really explain it to others in his life as to what he wants to do and why it is important and why it is a good career option. So secondly, what he did not understand is how to grow in this area, how to actually take up the opportunities presented to him, how to reach the next level, how to communicate, and how to present himself as somebody who's a very serious contender, serious professional in this space, especially because in this space work experience doesn't really matter a lot because it's such a new space. So if you have the knowledge and the aptitude to build your knowledge base, you are somebody who's regarded highly. And that's what we discussed and trained Devain on. Apart from that, we also worked a lot on his soft skills, a lot on the various parts of his personality which require intellectual stimulation, which require for him to take out time for himself, reflect, or have a personality which is holistically developed. And if you remember from last year, during the same time, we had introduced SN Mentoring's Young Futurist, Zac Sangeeth, who's the world's youngest historian. This year, we would like to present to you Devain Pal Bansal, who is SN Mentoring's Young Futurist for the year 2022. Hi, Devain. How are you?
Hi, what's up?
I'm good. I'm good. You tell me, how's your life, Mr. Busy Bee?
So it's been exciting. Working in crypto is really exciting. It never stops. So every week something's new is happening. So yeah, it's busy.
Awesome. And we're going to go deep into it today, talk about crypto and all the other things that you're doing. All right. So, Devain, I've introduced you a little bit, but I would also like you to introduce yourself a little bit, especially the last 2 years, as I like to call them, the pandemic years or the COVID-19 years. What did you do in the last 2 years? How were they for you personally, professionally, and so on?
So last 2 years have been a really exciting journey of discovering myself. So like on the professional end, I was a totally misfit in my college doing engineering. On the weekends, I was going for UPSC preparations. Then as the pandemic hit, I started doing trading and then, going the whole journey of crypto and now into being a full-time blockchain tech researcher. So yeah, that's been the professional end. On the personal end, I did hit some goals. I used to be like 110 kgs, so I reduced my weight to like 70 kgs now. And I also found some things I'm passionate about, mostly traveling. And I have also like ticked off the most, doable road trips of every Indian, Leh Ladakh and Spiti. So yeah, 2 years have been good.
Wow. So when is your YouTube channel coming out? I mean, with your life story like that, you'll get a lot of views, I guess.
So yeah, people do say me that you should start vlogging, but somehow I feel that while capturing a lot on lens, you miss out on the real experience. So I don't do that much.
All right. That's a very mature comment. Great. Okay. So, just to help everyone understand this, what do you do professionally, Devain, right now? You explained a little bit about blockchain. So what exactly is it that you do? And you please try and be as I would say, uh, simplistic so that everyone gets the point as possible.
So blockchain, what mostly people understand about blockchain is cryptocurrencies, which is a very small subset of what blockchain is. Blockchain itself is a technology, and like every technology, it has ways to work around in its specific domain. So my main goal is to understand how different projects or how different softwares work, using this technology, and what are the trade-offs, what can be like better things to do for security, better things to do for making a better user centric product. And yeah, so that's basically what my research is focused at.
All right. Okay. And but that means you not only deal with cryptocurrency but also other products. Can you give us examples of some other layers which are you are involved in?
So other products, so yeah, so cryptocurrencies, like currencies, just one specific thing, something used to pay for something. But what are you paying for is a service. That service can be a product in itself. For example, if you are using Uniswap, so it's a service of trading. If you are using Aave, it's a service of lending and borrowing, much like you do with a bank. And if you are using one of our products known as Bungee, it's a service to transfer funds from one chain to another. So yeah, these are all products which suit a purpose and which are paid for in the token or the cryptocurrency which people mostly know.
Okay. So you said our product. So where are you working right now?
So I am working at Socket. So we are about 8 months old. We are a startup who is working in the interoperability space.
Okay. And interoperability between what?
Between various chains. So, as I said, blockchain is a technology, and every blockchain has a specific use case to it. So, due to having multiple blockchains, there needs to be some way to communicate between these blockchains. You can think of it as web servers. So, Amazon has their own web servers, and Google has their web servers. And how do these web servers communicate with each other is what we do. That is what is called as interoperability.
All right. And so do you guys also deal with NFTs? And what are NFTs?
So NFTs is basically, the word itself stands for non-fungible. So non-fungible is basically just a fancy word to call out the fact that this does not have a replacement. Fungible means the two things are same. For example, if I have a 10 rupee note, so any other 10 rupee note is similar to the one I have and holds the same value. So it's a fungible thing. Similarly, if I get into crypto, each and every Ethereum is replaceable with itself, so that is fungible. But calling something out non-fungible means that it has a unique character. Now that unique character can be a picture I clicked, that can be a video or a song I record, or maybe this interview which is like unique to us. So this thing can be converted into a non-fungible token on the chain, which will give it an identity and an ownership. So yeah, so it's a very easy way to gain ownership over your assets.
All right. Very interesting. And you guys work on it, right?
So we don't work on NFTs. As I said, we are a infrastructure, and NFT is like one of the use cases which can be fulfilled with that infrastructure.
Okay. All right. And what is DeFi? And how do you work on it, or are you working on it? Does Socket work on it?
So DeFi is basically, as the word stands for, decentralized finance. Now, what does decentralized mean in the financial world? So basically, like for example, if I have to make a payment to anyone, so I will be maybe using my Google Pay, which will be trusting a bank at the back end to send you funds. So making this decentralized basically means removing that trust into a bank and trusting like all the peers in the network. So that is how the thing gets decentralized. And the nearest query I have to this is if someone has used torrents. So in torrents, each and every computer is like, uploading a movie and downloading a movie. So yeah, that is how you get a decentralized network. In just this case, we are not downloading a movie. We are just maintaining a ledger of sending payments to one another.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about when you say torrents and downloading movies, but I understand the concept. So So why I'm asking all these things is because these are very common terms which are floating around the internet and otherwise a lot, and people might not understand them. Now, what I want to know is how do you make money out of this?
So how, as like every product, makes money out of giving out a service. For example, a bank makes a specific amount of, percentage whenever they are processing a certain amount of, loan or a payment. So for example, if I talk about Aave, so you can take a loan from it and you can, put in money so that they can refresh those loans. So they keep a certain percentage of it for themselves. So if a product is doing a lot of trading and it has a lot of trading volume, so they'll take a certain percentage of, the amount you trade with. So it's very similar to traditional markets, but yeah.
Okay, all right. So basically, there are a lot of digital products, and since there are digital products, there is a market for them, and people who use those products will, in some way or form, pay for them, and that is why there is this entire ecosystem of commerce which is happening based on blockchain and the various layers developed on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, interesting. Now, Devain, how did you get interested in this? How did you get introduced to it, and what happened there?
So much like most of the people get introduced to it is as an investment vehicle. So that is how I got started into it. I got into trading and then I expanded my horizon into trading various cryptocurrencies, but I was still curious about, a lot of use cases which are happening and like basically how they work. So in that, search to fulfill that curiosity, I started digging deep into it, and then I realized that okay, this is not an investment vehicle. This is in fact a technology which is used for a lot of things. So then I wanted to understand what this technology is, and dive deep into how it works. And that's been like the start of my journey into like blockchain research and expanding into it today. Then I realized there are a lot of sectors into it. As you mentioned, DeFi and NFTs, there are many more sectors. And then after like studying a few sectors, I basically made a conviction about what I'm doing today,
All
which
right.
is cross chain.
Okay. All right. So you got introduced as an investor, but transitioning into a career where you're an engineer, and then you were preparing for UPSC, and then which are very traditional and very impressive options already. How did you convince your parents or family and other people around you in your life that this is what I want to do? Because explaining this might have been a Herculean task.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting story which has a lot of hurdles in it. And obviously, you were a big help throughout that. But the main thing is that traditional paths are something, what your families have already seen and feel safe for you to follow, even if, UPSC is a very hard exam. So obviously, not everyone can crack it, but it still feels a very safe path for your family. So they obviously push you for it. But now when you come out of the blue and suddenly say that you want to get into something which is like not even a which does not even have a designation, like blockchain tech researcher is like a designation I made for myself. So yeah, so that was a very hard thing. And obviously in blockchain, which has a lot of skepticism around it being for drug abuse or all those things. So yeah, that was a very hard thing. And what I learned in the end was they won't understand it till I make it. So yeah, it's no use explaining them. It's like just show them the results.
Okay. All right. Well, it's always going to be a tough journey because everyone's circumstances are different, right? But I'm so glad that you were able to do that. And I believe now your family is quite supportive and encouraging.
Yeah, see, even like that is also, I think, a learning curve for them. So when they come from, having a conservative thought about how to do things and how a career should be, and then looking me succeeding into, something very different. So it's a learning curve for them also to come from like that space to what I'm doing now. And I think like they are reaching it.
All right, good to know that. So, Devain, see, essentially, every career, what I believe is that every career space or domain has fundamentals which have been created since the Industrial Revolution. So, as we discussed earlier, the Web 3.0 space is built on the foundations of Web 2.0, which was built on Web 1.0, and so on and so forth. There is a marketplace, there is a customer, there is a service which needs to be provided, and ultimately, that is how things work. Um, to transition into Web 3.0, what were some of the skills that you got or you already had from your formal education, be it at school level, or your engineering studies in Thapar, or your UPSC prep that you were doing from a coaching center? What are some of the things that you learned from those areas which helped you transition into Web 3.0?
So I would say the biggest role was played by the UPSC preparation, because when you are, going into engineering and preparing for the toughest exam you can see, which is like JE, then you have a very narrow scope into things. You don't know much outside of physics, chemistry, or mathematics. But getting into UPSC was like an expansion into horizon of, how different things in the world are working, how they have an impact on, the people, the government, the geopolitics of things. And that was like a very good experience to, have understand the impact things can make down the line. Because um, public policies are not something which make impact immediately. You have to like have a very far sighted view of things. So yeah, so that played the most important role. On the college front, I'll say like I was not very attentive in college, but I don't think it played a very big role, because I feel the education system is like, a bit far on how fast we are coming into new things. So yeah, UPSC prep is I think the best one.
All right. Okay. So the coaching industry actually helped you more than the college. That's not very surprising, isn't it? Because that's an ecosystem which is very flexible. They are keeping up to date, and the teachers and the instructors are, I would say, very accessible and so on.
Yes, I think that is true, because if I just talk about technology, so the rate at which technology changes is like very exponential. The things which happened like in a decade, 3 decades ago, happened in like a few years, and now maybe a few months. So changing the whole curriculum at such a pace, I don't think is very easy for an be a national education level thing. But small tutors, all those certificates which are coming online these days, those are like pretty up to date, and do tell you how the industry is evolving.
Right. So, Devain, you told me that you did a few certifications as well. How did those certifications help you?
So those certifications, I think certifications give you, a certain amount of structure. While you are doing, many things from the YouTube, you can learn a lot of things, but you get the knowledge, but you somehow, miss out how to connect the dots between that knowledge. So the structure provided by certifications help a lot. So I did like a certification from Cornell and MIT, and to my surprise, they were quite in depth and went very well in the intricacies of how this technology works, and that helped me set myself apart from a lot of people who did not understand those basic points, and I was able to excel.
Very nice. And what other certifications are you looking forward to? I believe we discussed a bit about risk management, and since you're working on the infrastructure side now, how does that play into this thing? Are you planning for something like that?
So right now I am keeping eye out for any financial courses, because that is also something I want to keep doing on the side. I feel that I'm like in very early in my journey, so even my full-time job is like learning in itself, and on the side also I want to keep learning and adding certifications, because you never know how 2 years down the line my passions might change, or anything can happen. So yeah, I want to keep my options open, keep exploring things I like.
Oh, very nice. So we've discussed quite a bit about your professional side of things. I mean, from a very technical, hard skill point of view. What about soft skills, Devain? Like, what were the kind of skills that you needed and you developed during this journey so that you could reach this place where you are right now? What kind of things that you needed? maybe on the personal side, as we like to call it, intellectual stimulation? What are some of those other areas of intellectual stimulation which kept you going?
So, number one, I think I had no idea how to think about things. So I, started reading a lot of books just to get an idea, get into the loop of how to think, how to write about stuff. Then writing itself was a big challenge. I did not know how to write. I still writing is like a very iterative process. I take inputs from a lot of people, but yeah, writing was something you encouraged me to do, and writing has been like the core to all my research, and how I have elevated through it. Then talking to people, going to random places, making a space for your own self, because like you can be at a party, you can be at a conference, you can be at a group tour with friends, but how to make a space for your own self in that group, and how to connect with various people, how to get into a group, how to get out of a group, how to get into a conversation, getting out of a conversation, all these are very very small things, but yeah, they add up, like compound to a lot.
All right. And what about interview skills, resume, negotiation? Have you like been abreast with that? How did you learn those?
So those were something which were totally not in my scope till you introduced them to me. So building a resume was like a totally new experience. Though resume is like a very subjective thing in Web3, people hardly ask for your resume. They mostly like look at your work and what you have done. But yeah, I do feel that resume is a very important piece of document which helps you get into like the courses you want to do, and if you want to like get into a college again. So yeah, that's a very important piece of thing. Handling interview pressure is a totally new ball game, because until and unless you are about to click that join button in the meeting, you won't feel that pressure. But yeah, once you do that, there is a lot of pressure on what is going to be asked, you how the flow is going to be. Maybe you don't know something, how to handle the pressure of not knowing something. So all those things, yeah, they matter a lot.
All right, very nice. I'm so glad that you've matured so much into it, and I'm pretty sure now you can actually guide a lot of other young enthusiasts like yourself, budding professionals in this space and more. So I was just talking about Devain. You're a very passionate photographer as well, and you're a biker. So how is that going for you? Can you, like you initially told us about Leh Ladakh and Spiti Valley? How do you manage that? What has been one of some of your most memorable experiences?
So those experiences are one of their kinds, because they, obviously tell you about your human limits. And when you go to a tour, you meet a lot of different people. And I have found out that connecting to people while traveling is one of the best experiences you can learn from, because in a setup like this, you are meeting someone for a very less time. You have no background or hopes of, meeting them in future. So you present a very true self of your over there, and those stories add up to a lot of life lessons. So the all the stories, all those late night guitar songs we have played together in -20 temperatures, riding on snow, falling with different people, riding on different terrains, getting a close call every day, then recalling those close calls while we are having chai at 14,000 feet. All those experiences are one of their kind, and I think they add up a lot to your personal confidence about what you can do. And yeah.
All right. Can you share with us some trip that you did, or anybody else who can go on such trips, organized by some groups or companies or something like that?
So yeah, Royal Enfield keeps doing a lot of trips. Like even while we are speaking, a few of their tours are on the way. One of my friend also repeated the tour. He went to Nepal for 16 days, did an incredible ride. So Royal Enfield is a good one. Tripophilia, you can find a lot of tours over there. And basically just, go to YouTube, search road trips, find a road trip circuit, go to Google, just name it out. You'll find a lot of companies already doing that. So that is how I find group tours, go there with my gear, ride the bike for a week, come back.
All right. And just to tell everyone, actually, Devain participated in a what was it? Astral View trip to Kargil.
Astral Ride, Les Zanskar Astral Ride.
Yes, Leh Zanskar Astral Ride organized by Royal Enfield, and that was a magical experience. All right, Devain, I just thank you so much for being here. I just want to ask you a couple of last questions. First is, if you had a chance, all right, if you had a chance to actually implement something in our formal education system, having observed or having lived this journey for a couple of years now, what would you change? How would you encourage this in young students, let's say, starting at the age of 11, 12? How can they get into it? What should they focus on? How can schools introduce these things in their curriculum?
So on the school end, I would say like they should be very open to experimentation. Do like third party partnerships, which introduce interesting, different kind of what's that called, courses, different kind of courses. And those courses are not necessarily like your computer classes. Those can be art or photography. Those can be like anything which is like very specific to what people can experiment into and try and fail at their own pace. On the college front, the biggest blocker I feel is once someone goes into an engineering college, he does not have a lot of option to move out of engineering. I did not like computer science, but all the other option I had was move to another engineering field. I think that is a very limiting factor. There should be like multi-disciplines you can shift to, which Indian curriculum system is lacking like massively, which a lot of Western colleges and universities have moved ahead of. So because a lot of students and my friends who have gone out have like changed their majors a couple of times, and those major changes have been across disciplines, whereas all the options we get over here is like choose another stream in your discipline.
Absolutely, that's very relatable. Um, Also, Devain, so once somebody goes through these experiences, after the education system provides you that, how important do you think is self-awareness, understanding yourself and what is relevant for you in this entire process of choosing a particular career pathway?
I think that is the most important thing until and unless you can define what. So about self-awareness, I think self-awareness is the most important thing until and unless you can define what makes you happy. No career can fulfill you because end of the day it comes to going to bed happy, getting up excited to do what you do. And if your career is not doing either of those, then I think you need to step back, reflect on things, and then maybe not be afraid to start over if you think okay we are not like you are not going in the right path.
Awesome. Devain, we are all so proud of who you've become and your and the transformative journey, your dedication during that entire process that we had for you. It has been such a heartening experience to see you grow, and we wish you all the best for the future. We hope to see you scale new heights, enjoy life, and define yourself as the unique person you are.
Thank you.
So before you go, would there be any one line message that you would like to give to the world to make the world a better place?
So there is something we call out a lot in adventure touring, which is find your lane and stick to it, which basically means that you just have to experiment with things, find out what makes you happy, what is your passion. Don't have to justify it to anyone, and and still be open to starting over things.
Amazing. I think that's just perfectly fitting in this entire conversation. Thank you so much, Devain, for being here.
Thank you.